perspective and all that, getting hit multiple times. Coming out of that bike section, more drivers coming to blows. Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the SKR Sim Racing League. This is round number 3 of the season, coming to you tonight from Road Atlanta. My name is Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Charles Boshell. Joshua Wilkie is our producer for tonight's broadcast. Charles, to end off the first half of this season, we head off to a track that I absolutely adore. Road Atlanta and American sports car racing go together like peanut butter and jelly, or peanut butter and chocolate, depending on what you like more. It is a stunner of a combination, so I feel like we're going to have some fun here tonight.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there, Ron. It is, once again, the admin set up a pretty nice schedule here, and this is the Tomahawk here at Road Atlanta, and yeah, it's going to be a good race. Just kind of watching practice as it was rolling around, got some maybe an interesting car choice here as well, so that we'll get a chance to talk about that along with everything else that goes on tonight.
Yeah, a debut car. Not a debut driver, Logan Fulmer, we have seen twice already this season, but making his very first appearance in the Audi R8, a car which is pretty much just a reskinned version of the way the old Audi used to drive here on iRacing, which it's sort of like being locked in a phone booth with a rabid hyena. You don't really know what's going to go down.
Yeah, it's almost like being in a very tortured relationship. The Audi is the Audi. I've always said since I started driving the original, I actually did a couple of leagues in the original R8. This obviously being the Evo version. That it is very quick, great through corners, especially like the S's here. But at some point during the night, it will try and kill you. It's just the way. I don't know why the car is that way, but for whatever reason, it's going to trip you up. No matter how consistent you are in it, it's going to do something that you just absolutely do not expect. So that's going to be interesting to see how Mr. Fulmer handles that tonight, as he's going to try and take this car around. Maybe with a 20-minute race, not so bad, but it's a little wide there coming out of 10A and B. So we'll see if it gets any better, or if it's competitive tonight.
Yeah, and all right, gang, the first lap times here in this qualifying session. A reminder to those tuning into this series for the very first time, 2 laps allotted to these drivers and 10 minutes to try and set the best time that they possibly can. Dan Pancoast now jumping up to the provisional pole. Chris Barrett currently set to join him on the front row. Is Jim Worth going to jump up there? We're waiting to see some good, quick, strong lap times here, and always waiting for the stunner himself, the man who has been on a clean sweep so far this season. 2 poles, 2 wins. Justin Ruth yet to hit the racetrack there in that number 07 BMW. However, Leo Le Carpentier has an alone Ferrari yet to set a qualifying time himself. I believe the first lap time was invalidated, which is a very easy thing to do here.
Yeah, it really is. There's a lot of little gotchas here. Turn 5 being the first one, it's just and turn 3, I should say, actually the chicane at the top of the hill on the start of the lap, very difficult to get that line right. And then turn 5, because of the way you have to kind of take that, kind of lends itself to giving you off track or maybe even a slowdown there if you take it too far wide. But of course, if you get too far wide, you're just as likely to just be into the barrier. So we'll see. But Le Carpentier, good lap time so far, purple sectors each time through, and looks like he's going to get one nailed down here, and we may have our pole sitter lined up here as he comes through.
And Leo Le Carpentier comes across a line. That's a 119.051, comfortably ahead of Jim Worth there in the number 33 machine. Now, Le Carpentier was very quick in practice earlier, was second fastest behind Justin Ruth, who set the fastest practice time of a 118.9. Le Carpentier peaked at a 119.7, so to improve by that much in qualifying, you can tell that he had a little bit left in the back pocket and was able to grab that rabbit out of the hat and show it off to the crowd. That was a fantastic lap time there from Le Carpentier. We'll have to see whether anybody can try and challenge him as we get towards the end of the session. Brian Fulmer following him right now, currently qualified in 3rd. Chris Barrett was briefly up towards the front, still in the north end of the field, qualified in 3rd in the lone Mercedes, represented out there in the number 1 machine, qualified 3rd at the moment. I believe he has exhausted both of his qualifying attempts, though. This will not be a representative lap, I believe. Just getting a bit more time out there in the seat. That's the main key for a lot of these drivers, many of them racing in the SKR HQ out there in Lansdale. More about that a little bit later on here on this broadcast. But just getting some seat time is very important in these very challenging GT3 cars.
Yeah, it is. That is the key to it, is logging laps, collecting data, and just getting more quicker and more consistent as you go. So that's the trick with racing. It's like anything else. You got to keep working at it, and keep driving, and just getting a little better each time. It's always, for me, it's always been when I get ready to practice for a race, it's always between that first practice session and that second practice session where I see the most improvement. But then as you go, you're still seeing gains every time you go through, because you're getting a little more comfortable. The muscle memory starting to work a little bit. So the longer Yeah, yeah. The more you log laps, the better you're going to end up being. You might not increase your speed as much, but the consistency through the corners is going to be just as beneficial.
Yeah, and it's one of those racetracks where you just have to hit your marks more often than not. If you can go through this race without making a mistake, you could very well come out of it with a good result. And we saw a little bit of that last time out at Maunz, where we had the double DQ for the Fulmers, father and son duo there. Unfortunately, they got involved in a little battle, made some contact, and that gave both of them a disqualification at the very end. But that track is incredibly tough. Tough to get moves done, tough to try and hot lap on your own. This racetrack, I would say, in terms of the overtakes, it's a little bit easier to manage, but all in all is a pretty tough ride in its own right. As we move along throughout the rest of this session, though, we'll say we have yet to see a lap time from Justin Ruth, yet to see him actually hit the racetrack here. So currently in a lull. The drivers still out there on the racetrack. Chris Barrett and Ryan Fulmer, who we follow right now, already have qualifying times on the board, so they are not able to improve on their laps, but just getting a bit more seat time out there either way. I am curious if we can take a look at our championship points, though, heading off into this third race of the season, because we've had a fun ride so far here, but Justin Ruth has been the man of dominance so far here this season. 2 wins, 2 poles, and as it stands right now, 770 points is his tally at the moment. Leo Le Carpentier off the back of a 4th place finish in round number 1 at Watkins Glen, and a 2nd place run last time out. Monza is slotted there in P2 in the points at 658. Chris Barrett rounds out your top 3 at 613, with the likes of Dan Panko slotted in 4th, Logan Fulmer there in 5th, tied actually on points with Jim Worth, who only showed up last week. He's back again here today, so that tie may eventually get broken with Ryan Fulmer back in the pack right now, slotted in 7th currently. So very early on into this season, very early on into this series. But one thing that we've been able to see get put on full display over the past couple of weeks here with SKR, this is not just a league, this is not just a community, it is a brick and mortar location as well. Founded in 2024, SKR is a sim racing center just a stone's throw away from the city of Philadelphia. With high-end pro-grade motion simulators, it's a must-visit for fans of speed who want to experience the thrill of driving, all from the comfort of an indoor studio space. Located in Lansdale, just a short walk away from the nearest SEPTA station, you can learn more about taking a trip to get a taste of speed at skrsimracing.com. Getting into the final minute now of qualifying, time certainly running out, and yet to see Justin Ruth hit the racetrack. I believe Ruth is still in the session, but this is going to be very fascinating. The man who's been so dominant all throughout this season, going to be shotgun of the field to start us off tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to front, I guess the last to first challenge here for Justin Ruth, as he's going to be starting at the back of the grid, because I don't think qualifying's almost over, so he will not get a lap in. So he'll jump to the back and try and work his way through. Not the easiest place, as you said, to pass. There's a couple of spots. Obviously, right there in turn 1, you get a good draft down the front straight, and then you got, of course, the long back straight that where a lot of passing is going to take place tonight. So we'll jump to this session here, and we'll find out who's going to make some moves tonight and who's going to fall off.
Yeah, certainly a lot to play for here at Road Atlanta, a storied racetrack in the world of American sports car racing, but more on that here in a few moments' time. In the meantime, let's take a look at your starting grid here for tonight's race. It's going to be Leo Le Carpentier grabbing the pole position. That's the first pole for Leo, the first driver to grab a pole position outside of Justin Ruth. Let's see if he can make that true in the wins column as well. Alongside him on your front row here tonight is going to be Jim Worth there. Made his season debut last time at Monza, looking to keep that momentum rocking and rolling here. P3 on your start will be Chris Barrett. Next to him will be Dan Pancoast. Logan Fulmer will start this race in P5 in that brand new Audi, next to Ryan Fulmer there in the Porsche. Justin Ruth, our 2-time pole sitter, 2-time race winner, will be shotgun of the field there in P7. Those are your starters here. As we get the pace lap up, rocking and rolling Racing here, Charles. Gotta say, a couple of things of note. Of course, this racetrack is a bit of a menace. We do know that just from our time covering racing here at this track. However, look at the dust getting kicked up through here. It is quite dirty. It reminds me almost of the hallways of my middle school that were so dusty. I think they were last cleaned in the 1960s.
Yeah, it does look dusty out there tonight. Obviously, if our sim time May 15th, 2026. So, yeah, that's it's starting to heat up down here in Atlanta. Is in about mid-May. You're seeing 80-degree track temp, 75-degree air temp, which actually is quite cool. But it's at 7:22 p.m., so that might have something to do with it. But normally you're going to be in the mid to upper 80s by about that point in time. So obviously not a lot of rain has happened here at Road Atlanta in the sim over the last couple of weeks, and so we get a little bit of dust clouds as we go. But that's going to actually, what you'll probably end up seeing is you'll see some cars with the automatic wipers going off and cleaning their windshield as we go tonight.
Yeah, so it is going to be dirty, it is going to be dusty, and I will say one thing of note, especially heading off into turn number 5, one of the most challenging turns on the entirety of this racetrack. The dust is going to be amplified by the glare from the sunset. We're running off into the night, 7:24 p.m. in sim time, and rapidly going along. So that sun is going to grow duller, much like myself, come to think of it, but I digress. Waiting for a start here for race number 3 of this season as the field heads their way down into the turn 10 chicane, one of the best premier overtaking opportunities on the entirety of this lap. About to get a race start here for the 3rd time this season. And for the first time, it's going to be Leo Le Carpentier leading us to green as a green flag flies, and the drivers are on their way. Good start there from Le Carpentier, and a crash farther in the back. Smacking the wall is Logan Fulmer. Unfortunately, that Audi looks like it has already been somebody's head off. Contact there a little bit farther behind. That's Dan Pankos getting sent off into the dirt. Thankfully avoids the barriers there in the Porsche, but a rough start there. I believe he may have made contact there with Ryan Fulmer, although I will look to confirm. Up the front though, Leo Le Carpentier taking advantage of all that chaos to pull an 0.8 of a second margin heading out of 5.
Yeah, Leo got a great jump at the start. As soon as the pace car pulled off into pit lane, he was on it and gone, and got himself a good jump. And that's going to be up to Worth, Barrett, Fulmer to start chasing him down, as Justin Ruth already up to P5, so he's already passed Fulmer and Pankos, who have already had off tracks. Oh, and there's a double whammy back there. That was Barrett and Ryan Fulmer, and Justin Ruth looked like he might have been involved with that as well. So we'll have to, as we got more drama here between Fulmer and Pankos, I'm sorry, Barrett.
And still trying to get all sorted out there. Up at the front of the field, Leo Le Carpentier going to lead the first lap of this race. Jim Worth going to be the only driver in sight, slotted directly behind there in P2. Only 0.8 of a second the margin between those drivers. Justin Ruth has been able to cut his way through the field like a hot knife through butter. He finds himself in 3rd. However, because of all of that drama at the start of this race, he finds himself now 3.5 seconds back of your top runners. So that's going to be really interesting to see whether he can close up that gap between himself and Jim Worth and then take the final leap to catch up to your race leader of Le Carpentier. We'll take a look at some of our replays. Starting off, will that happen here? Logan Fulmer in the 04 Audi is heading his way through that final turn across the stripe as a car come across his nose.
Wow. Yeah, the first indication is I've cursed him talking about that Audi, but no, that wasn't on Logan at all. That was just car contact and more car contact there as the two Porsches go side by side coming out of turn 1, and just the cars on cold tires just kind of float out a little bit, and Pankos just ran out of room.
And so unfortunate to see that as we take a look at another angle of it. Just gets hip checked wide as he headed his way through the section. I will say, looking into it, I believe the car that made the contact with Ryan Fulmer there with his son, sorry, no,
Ooh.
as we take a look at Ryan Fulmer getting involved in contact with others at the back of the pack, that was the one machine of Chris Barrett that was involved in that. I believe Dan Pancos, the other driver that got a piece of that drama. Was just going to say, the incident with Logan at the start of this race had that Porsche come across his nose. That was Ryan in the 60s, so it was a very rough start for him. 3 separate incidents on the first lap alone. So we'll take a look to show you what happened here. Keep an eye on that Martini-branded Porsche. Tries to split the difference. Unfortunately, his son pays the price. At that point, Dad, you got to buy him an ice cream cone.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Yeah, that's got payback written all over it. So let's see what happens. I think now we've figured out why they both DQ'd last race. They get around each other. It's like magnets coming together, and so we'll have to see if Ryan can get back up there, and if he does, then what is Logan going to do? But otherwise, Logan, after he had that spin at the beginning, now up to P4 with the drama from the other drivers. So having a pretty good run thus far, as Justin Ruth is still trying to close the gap down. Obviously, not quite as quickly on the top half of the field as he did on the bottom half of the field, but he is up to third. He's closing down on Jim Worth, but looks like Le Carpentier is at least keeping those lap times fairly close. Well, I say that now. Justin Ruth just did a 1:18.47, which was about 0.8 faster than the leader. So he is starting to close that gap down. Now he's got a little bit of clean air.
And that's not only quicker than what Leo Le Carpentier is doing in this race right now. That was quicker than Le Carpentier's time to grab the pole. It was also quicker than his own fastest time in practice earlier on, of course, not taking to the track for qualifying. But I will say one thing with absolute certainty. Jim Worth is feeling about as nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs right now. 0.4 of a second is the gap between himself and Justin Worth as they head their way out of turn number 7, heading on to this massive back straightaway, nearly a mile in length, sort of the motif around this racetrack, heading off into the turn 10 chicane. Fantastic spot to try and get a move done. I'm sure Justin Ruth is going to consider it. Closes up that margin now to 1/10.5. Looks for it down the inside, sees that window open, but that's Jim Worth shutting the window shut directly on Ruth's hands, and that's going to allow Worth to hold on to P2 for now.
Yeah, and that Porsche is going to be even odds through the twistier bits, but the BMW power down the straightaways is going to be very difficult. It's going to be tough to hold him back, but doing a great job thus far is just keeping the nose in front until they get to the little bit slower sections here, and I think that's going to help him keep going. But at some point, that BMW is going to get the run down the back straight and make his move down into 10A and B. And then we'll see how Worth is able to battle back, and that was a little wide there from the Porsche. And that was very close there, as I think now Ruth has got run going.
Yeah, and Justin Ruth actually backing out of it there. So Ruth going to save it for this back straightaway. One thing that has been talked about at length about this BMW for as long as it has been a part of the GT3 stable here in iRacing, it is a beast heading down the straightaways. It may have the aerodynamic properties of a brick, but it is fast. And right now with the draft of that Porsche right up in front, punching that hole in the air, Ruth going to punch out and try and get the move done into turn number 10. This time he's serious, and this time he gets it done. Nice move there from Justin Ruth, your multi-time race winner already this season, jumping his way up in a second.
Yep, and Le Carpentier now has about a 5-second gap behind Justin Ruth, so he's got still some work to do yet, and still about 13 minutes to do it. But as we see, Logan Fulmer still having a pretty good run there, running in 4th position. So Audi doing what it's supposed to do, and it's keeping the straightening out that track and making that car look really fast, as he's having a pretty good time so far.
Yeah, so right now seeing these drivers kind of lean into their car's strengths. That's the big thing with GT3 racing from the driver's perspective. You need to lean into what makes that car good. You need to match that as well with what a driver wants. Every single driver has their own little preferences as to what they want the car to do. Some lean a bit more towards wanting understeer in the car. Others want oversteer. Some drivers want the legs up on the straightaways. Others want to have the agility through the turns. It is all a matter of driver preference, as what has happened to Leo Carpentier, briefly blinking out there. I was getting a little bit worried. I still am a little bit worried there. A couple more blink outs like that, and I may have a full-on heart attack as he runs wide, heading his way down the hill off into turn number 12. Leo Carpentier may have a 4.5-second margin, but any more off-track excursions like that and alien encounters, and he may lose out on this top spot.
Yeah, absolutely. That is not the fast line through that section, so he's got to keep it on that gray stuff and keep moving forward, because every lap he can run that's clean is going to make it that much more difficult for Roof to catch and then pass. So he's got to, keep that car on the straight and narrow, out of the grass, out of the gravel, because obviously we talk about this as the off-track physics here. The car, if it gets in the grass, it will slow you down tremendously, and if you get in the gravel, it's almost throwing the anchor out and bringing you to a stop in a hurry, which is what the gravel is supposed to do. So it is one of those that you got to be very careful. You got to run clean lines, and you'll get rewarded for that.
As we continue to see this race develop, I want to touch on a storyline that I'm seeing develop with Leo Carpentier. At the moment, the graphic that we just had up there on screen was the top speed of these cars as achieved by these drivers so far here in this race. Thank you very much, Josh, for pulling it back up. You can see it finally changed. Leo Carpentier, for the longest time, was only hitting 154 miles an hour heading down that back straightaway. It's now gone up to 159, but Justin Roof still there at 164. 5 miles an hour may not seem like a big difference, but it can make a huge difference around this racetrack. Talking about the nature of Road Atlanta, there is that back straightaway, and I called it massive. I said it was nearly a mile. Clocks in at 0.829 of a mile. That is 1.3 kilometers in length. It is a massive portion of this racetrack, so that could be where Le Carpentier is losing out on some time, as Dan Panko certainly losing out on time there. Ran wide as he headed his way through turn number 1, and now Chris Barrett's gonna be all over him like a bear rug.
Yeah, absolutely. As you see this battle really heating up now as Barrett closing that gap down after Pancos runs wide in 1. And just to add on to your point, I'm actually really shocked that Worth is up to 165. The Porsche, not known necessarily for its straight line speed. As a matter of fact, it's probably on the slower end of the GT3 cars. It makes its time up in the corners. We see just a little swirly there by Pancos coming through turn 7, and that's always been a trouble spot here. The inside curb will not do you any favors. The outside curb will not do you any favors, and you want to get that corner just absolutely perfect for this run down the straightaway.
Yeah, so fascinating to see some of the storylines develop with that straight line speed and straight line performance. 157 I'm seeing for some drivers here as well. But either way you slice it, it goes back into the discussion we had about the quirks and features surrounding these GT3 cars and what makes these cars unique. I am a fan of sports car racing for a very good reason. You see various different cars, both different manufacturers, different dynamics. The way they look is totally different, and we're not just talking about the paint schemes. And you see them still perform really, really well. These drivers extract every little bit of performance out of it every single year since they added in that turn 10 chicane there back in 1998. This track has been the site of the Petit Le Mans, my favorite endurance sports car race every single year. A race that, if I remember correctly, Charles, you went to a couple of years ago.
Yeah, 2019 I was over there. Great place to visit. Lots of great spots to watch. That run, started the race sitting up there on Spectator Hill, so it's just over, right on the outside of turn 5 there. And to see, all the cars come down through the S's on that first lap all bunched together was just fantastic. Just a great location for a racetrack. I wouldn't necessarily say I would want to walk the entire thing, very much. It's good to just find you a spot and kind of chill out, because the driving areas to get you to the back half of the circuit are not built for walking. It's like walking into a ravine and then back out. As we see Pancoast running wide again, that's going to give Barrett the spot. But yeah, still great track. Love going over there and visiting, and it was had a ball.
Yeah, talking again about some of the history around this place as well. To those who are in the world of the SCCA, this was a host of the national championship runoffs from when the track opened back in 1970 through to the early 90s. Many different drivers cut their teeth in the world of motorsports here. Everything from IndyCar champions. I believe Jacques Villeneuve, before he became an F1 champion, may have run here back in the day, but I digress. Many fantastic names in the world of American motorsports and global motorsports period have gone to put their name on a winner's trophy here at this racetrack. If you can conquer this place, you can conquer any, as right now we've got a fight to see who's going to conquer this race here tonight. Leo Le Carpentier may have started from the pole, may have had the benefit of Justin Ruth being at the tail end of the field, but the slow straight line speed of that Ferrari and a couple of mistakes have cost him dearly. Half a second is now the margin between these two contending for your race win. Justin Ruth looking for his third straight. Le Carpentier looking for his first. Let's see what goes down as they head their way through turn number 7, one of the most important turns, not just around this racetrack, but maybe from the entirety of the season. You got a good exit through here, you'll be golden. You got a bad exit, and you are going to be in for a world of trouble. I think Le Carpentier may be in trouble right now with Justin Ruth closing up that margin now. Granted, that Ferrari doesn't punch a huge hole in the air. It's a mosquito compared to that BMW directly behind. Le Carpentier holds on to that race lead, heading through the braking zone of turn number 10, but to have only a half a second the gap with 5.5 minutes left to go, that is an ominous sight for the Frenchman.
Yeah, it really is. And the only good side to this is you've talked about how these cars make their lap times in different ways. We talked about the straight line speed of the BMW. The Ferrari actually is probably as we see almost a little contact there, maybe some contact as Le Carpentier just barely makes it through the chicane at the top there. But the Ferrari really good in the draft. It does a great job of just sitting behind cars. So think if Ruth gets by, it's not quite over yet, but he's going to look to the inside here going into 6. Tough place to make a pass.
Oh, contact!
Yeah, kind of saw that one coming. That is probably a high risk, low reward corner there. Unfortunately, to try and make a pass, and now like Carpentier is going to get back around. He's going to lose that position to Fulmer, and Worth is already through. So drop Leo, and now the tires were hot, so he's going to struggle getting through 7 as well. So tough break there for Leo, and he's going to try and see if he can get back going again, maybe salvage his position before this is over with.
Yeah, and unfortunately there in all of that, Leo Le Carpentier, really nothing that he could have done differently. Battling heading off into turn number 6 and 7, it is not a good prospect. And it's not a good prospect for a few reasons. Number one, the way these turns are, as we see the second auxiliary spin rubbing salt into the wounds for Leo Le Carpentier and Logan Fulmer, eventually getting the move done on him. Jim Worth was able to overtake as well. Here it is, crowded down to the bottom. Le Carpentier did a good job defending, but Ruth tried to insist on getting that move done. The contact was made, and he gets the spot. Battling into turn number 6 and 7, as I was saying, the nature of those turns makes it very difficult to get moves done clean, and you've also got that back straightaway right after it, so going for a move there, it just doesn't it's like attaching a chef's knife to the bottom of ice skates. It's not really necessary.
I would agree with that. It's a new one. A little patience there would have been probably would have been the order of the day. With that, with the power advantage she had on the straightaway, it would have been really easy to just kind of tuck in through 6 and 7 and then get the run out and make the pass. So now here comes Leo back. He's chasing down Logan Fulmer, so he's going to try and get this spot back as we see a black flag for Chris Barrett. I think Ryan Fulmer has already kind of parked it, maybe some damage on the car. He's sitting in the pits. But now here we've got Leola Carpentier tracking down Logan Fulmer here. We'll see how this is going to work out as they work their way through 10A and B. And very wisely done not to force the issue there. That's also another low reward corner.
Unfortunately, a slowdown there for Le Carpentier as well. So going to slow him down. Maybe that's where they got the name from there. But either way, that battle for third is going to have to continue into the final moments of this race. We're getting into the final 2 minutes of this event, and what a race it has been. Some drama, some action, a couple of incidents every now and then, and the action is not over. Chris Barrett trying to serve a slowdown penalty as Dan Pancos with a black flag. He had a black flag picked up just a few moments ago. Barrett has a black flag that he picked up a couple of minutes beforehand. I noted that black flag right as you're giving your last piece there, Charles, and gotta wonder whether Barrett is aware of the fact that he has that black flag. I think he may be close enough to the checkered flag where if he doesn't serve it, he may be okay.
I think there's going to be white flag this time for our leader. So I think he's going to have to come down pit road this time, or you get that time penalty at the end. So I believe we're within there. That was very close. Actually, might not have been, might be 2 laps to go. But okay, his white flag. Okay, thank you, Josh. As Justin's coming through here to work his final lap. Jim Worth 3 seconds back, so not quite not quite done yet. But I think it's going to be tough to track down Justin. But yeah, I think Pancos is in. I think maybe he just parked it and said that was enough. And I think Barrett now is going to come around. He'll have to come in and serve it this time.
Yeah, so as black flags appear, Dan Pancos drops out, and Justin Ruth seems to be about a half a lap away from victory. We've still got a battle right now for third. Logan Fulmer clinging onto it for dear life in that Audi, and contact made. They both spin around. That's heading through turn number 5. Fulmer backs into it. Like Carpentier spins again. And I believe Fulmer may get the nose out here. Yes, he will. Like Carpentier, what a race it could have been. It was going so well for so long, and that went so badly so quickly. That's going to be a sour note to end things off on for him as we take a look at the contact. Close quarters battling. I think Fulmer just clipped a little bit too much there of the inside curb, and around like a top he goes. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, it was close, very close at that, between Justin Ruth taking the whites or the checkered, but he crossed the line with 1 second left. Justin Ruth scores his 3rd straight victory. Jim Worth going to finish in 2nd. Logan Fulmer, though, going to weather the storm after starting this race in the barrier. Kind of sent there by his own dad, if we're being honest. He is going to cross the line to finish this race on the final step of the podium. Well done to that driver, the young man behind the wheel of that 04 Audi. That's the first time I think I've seen an Audi podium in a GT3 race in many, many moons.
I would have to absolutely agree with that. Yeah, you don't see that very often. But hey, Logan did a great job in that car, and the cars, stood hung together there, and gave him a great result. So he looked quite comfortable in there. And it's sometimes it's as you said, sometimes it's what drivers like, and maybe Logan has found the car that he's going to enjoy driving. But what I will say is when we saw that contact between Logan and Leo, that they do have damage turned off. So I did see that car was bent up, and it kind of corrected itself, and which is probably a good thing in an entry-level league. You want to give these drivers a chance to race. So no sense in them sitting in the pits for 10 minutes because they've broken the car when they're just trying to learn. And it was a little, speaking of, a little scrape there as Justin Ruth comes through and puts it into the wall.
Well, thankfully, the one mistake he makes throughout the entire night was probably intentional, first off, and secondly, is achieved after the checkered flag. Yep. But what a race this was here at Road Atlanta. I always say that this track is a barn burner, and it produces barn burners, and we certainly saw that get put on full display here tonight. It's quite the way to round off the first half of the season, get the second one up and rolling in just 1 week's time here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, when we rounded off with the street races, St. Pete, Long Beach, and Le Mans. Quick little question here, Charles, because I know that you have to go over to another broadcast here soon. Between St. Pete, Long Beach, and Le Mans, is there an easy track in that bunch?
No, no, the answer is no. I guess if you want to, I was going to say Le Mans is actually, it's not just a terribly difficult track. It's just you're on the throttle so much that you're really hyper focused there, even though you've got pretty wide berths to work with. Yeah, no, there's not really. It's that's three very, very difficult courses. They all have their pluses and minuses. So it's going to be interesting to see how these shape up. Like I said, great schedule. Maybe a little much for an entry level league, but great schedule. This is some like 6 really, really good tracks.
Hey, if you want to teach an iRacer, you may as well throw them into the deep end of the pool. At least they're not putting them in Super Formula cars and running them around in the rain at the Nürburgring. That would be, that's not even the deep end of the pool. That's taking an infant and throwing them into the icy waters of the Arctic Ocean from a B-52. That would not be very ideal. And here at Slow Motion Broadcasting, we do not encourage behavior like that. However, we will encourage a look at the race results here for round number 3 of this season. We'll let you know that Justin Ruth was able to capture the checkered flag. Jim Worth is right behind there in P2. Logan Fulmer will round out the podium in 3rd. Leo Le Carpentier. Unfortunately, it could have been a race win. Some would say it should have been a race win. Instead, it ends up being 4th after 2 late incidents. Chris Barrett will be in P5. Dan Pancoast is in 6th. Brian Fulmer will complete your 7 cars classified here at the end of a very thrilling race at Road Atlanta. Charles, final thoughts before we wrap things up.
Oh no, that was great race. Obviously, love the track. This is it's actually really a good track for GT racing. It's got some good length to it. But it's got some technical aspects to it as well, and I think our drivers overall did a really good job. Obviously, not like I said, it takes time to build your muscle memory and your eye to get these corners just nailed down. Obviously, turn 1, we saw several incidents there. No surprise, you go to any iRacing official session and you're at Road Atlanta, you're going to see lots and lots of cars over in that gravel trap on the exit of turn 1. So it is not surprising, but we didn't have. I think we had 1 incident in 5, which is really, really good. But once again, it's all learning. As these drivers get better, they'll realize there are places that you can make moves, places you can't, but that's all part of getting better as a sim racer.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I love to see this community growing as the weeks roll along, and looking forward to seeing how the final half of this season goes. Do want to let you all know once again that SKR is a sim racing center just a stone's throw away from the city of Philadelphia. With high-end pro-grade motion simulators, it's a must-visit for fans of speed who want to experience the thrill of driving, all from the comfort of an indoor studio space. Located in Lansdale, just a short walk away from the nearest SEPTA station, you can learn more about taking a trip to get a taste of speed at skrsimracing.com. That is skrsimracing.com. And folks, I will let you all know that this is not the end of the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Far from it, in fact. Later on tonight, we've got a bit of a homecoming in the Sim Racers Group world. It'll be the F3s returning to the track that hosted the first ever SRG broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting way back on January 1st of last year. That'll be the F3s later on here tonight. The Ray Esports Summer Series will be back here on the channel this upcoming Sunday. The first race for the MX-5s. That'll be at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. The American Muscle Series will be back here on the channel after a thrilling season opener at Sandown just last night. That'll be at Mid-Ohio on the chicane layout. I like to call it the Classic because the chicane was around before the straight shot into the keyhole, but I digress. And SRG F4 will be back here on the channel at Interlagos. Next time you'll be able to see this series will be in 1 week's time when the series rocks up to one of the newest tracks here on iRacing, that being the St. Petersburg Street Circuit, known for Indy cars, used to host some Trans Am way back in the day, but we'll give some history lessons a little bit later on here in the month. Come time for that broadcast in the middle of the month here in just 1 week's time. If you never never want to miss out on any of the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, how about you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell? And if you want to know what we can do for your iRacing league or event, how about you join the Slow Motion Broadcasting Discord server linked here onto the YouTube channel. If you want to see some action, though, here from Slow Motion Broadcasting between this broadcast and the next one of the F3s later on tonight, how about you take a look at some of our YouTube shorts? But as for this broadcast here for round number 3 of the SKR Sim Racing League here at Road Atlanta, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, Charles Boshell joining me in the commentary booth, and Joshua Wilkie working all the cameras and the graphics and the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for tuning into the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting tonight, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.